Amy said the audio's fine.
What's up, everybody? Believe it or not, it's D to the J with the roll away. And unfortunately, it's not Wednesday, but today is a beautiful Saturday, and it's 2 o'clock, and we have a very special edition of My CP Does Not Define Me. Now, I've been waiting for this show for a long time because the guest that I have today, I don't usually get a chance to do Saturdays, but on a rare occasion, it does happen, and today is one of those rare occasions. Now, before I bring in my guest, who is special and wonderful in every kind of way, I want to start this show off with a quote that I thought everyone would enjoy. Hello as you come in. Hey, Shayna, how are you? My quote is this: stop being afraid of what can go wrong and start being positive about what can go right. Let me read that again. Stop being afraid of what can go wrong and start being positive about what can go right. Now, My CP Does Not Define Me. This is our 19th episode. And it's amazing to me that I haven't had my guest that I have today on 19 times because she's that good. I've heard a lot about, being a CP advocate and understanding what being a cerebral palsy advocate is. But this young lady today that I'm going to have on my show is probably one of the most amazing and inspirational people I've known in my life. And it is a privilege to know her. And every time we get together, something magical happens because she has the ability to see truth and to see people for who they are, and she's just an amazing person. I want to welcome Miss Sherry to the show. Miss Sherry King, how are you?
I'm doing well, DJ. How are you?
I am.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so glad to have you. If you would not mind, could you just give us just a little bit of background, kind of as to what you do for our viewers that are new to the show and that are just coming in? Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Sherry King. I'm 34 years old. I have spastic quadriplegia, cerebral palsy. And mostly what it does is it limits my fine and gross motor skills. But in addition to that, my CP does not define me because I am a federal government worker. I own my own home. I also advocate for people with disabilities outside of work. So I live this. This is what I do on a regular basis. So advocating for people with disabilities is very important to me.
Sherry, that's amazing. The first question that I want to ask you is there is a lot of people that will say that they advocate for cerebral palsy. Now, one of the things I know about you is that you truly do it because you are everywhere and doing everything that you can for CP, about CP. What does it mean to you to truly advocate for cerebral palsy?
Well, I strongly believe that you have to meet every person where they are. When a person seeks advice from me, what I tend to first ask him is, what is the situation. I try to get to know the person in order to meet them where they are, learn more about the person, and kind of develop a connection to that person. It's very important to me to know the person so that I can provide them with the resources that are perfectly suited for them. So my main objective when I first meet another individual with a disability is to meet them exactly where they are.
Now, and you know, I know you've been through lots of training. I know you have 2 degrees, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
I have a bachelor's in general psychology and a master's in human resource development.
This girl knows what she's talking about, y'all. Come on now. I just want to, hey, Michael, how are you? I want to kind of delve into this a little bit. What, now you've, of course, had CP your whole life, as you know, as we all have. What made you decide to go to this field, to get into psychology and to advocate for CP?
Well, the decision was kind of twofold. I've always been the type of person that wants to help people and understand where they're coming from and understand, those who have behavioral issues and things of that nature. But even more importantly than that, I know that I was born with CP, and I was looking for psychology to give me some sort of an explanation into what were the reasonings behind my cerebral palsy. How exactly does the brain work? We study the field of psychology, of course, to get a better understanding of the functions of the brain and how it works and the all that's going on, right? So I felt like studying that field would give me a better understanding of what was going on with me and inside of me. And now I knew that in studying psychology, I wouldn't be able to take it all the way as far as, reaching out to the public and, actually working with them.
Right.
But actually studying that has helped me become a stronger advocate because I've learned some of the technical terms and have been able to sit in certain places where normally people like us are unable to sit because we may or may not have the background to go along with it. So I'm able to have conversations with people for us and for those who can't.
So in essence, in going through the psychology field and learning about it, did you also learn, about yourself? As you said, it helped you to become a stronger person, but did you also learn more about yourself going through that?
Yes, I've learned a lot about myself emotionally and spiritually and how to channel some of those things and work through those emotions properly. As you know, there are a lot of emotions that comes with a person that has cerebral palsy. Some days we're up, some days we're down.
Right,
and
right. Mm-hmm.
That psychology allows me to practice the techniques that I learned as coping mechanisms to deal with this.
What were now? And this is a question I get asked a lot, and I'm sure you do too. But I just want to bring this one out there because I think it means a lot in both of us having CP, and you can understand this question and really bring some life to it. What were some of let's start off with, what were some of the physical challenges that you faced going through getting your degrees and finding the avocation role that you found?
I think my biggest challenge, DJ, was trying to get people to understand that just like everyone else that was sitting in the classroom, I was on a mission to get my degree. And as a person with a disability, there are certain things that people in society today don't expect us to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, just as the title of this show says, my CP does not define me, I wanted to let them know that I'm here to get my degree. And just because I have some physical limitations, I use a wheelchair for 100% of my mobility,
Mm-hmm.
that my mind is sharp. I'm able to function in the classroom here just like everyone else and things of that nature. But now, to your point, I did have some hurdles in the completion of my degree, and some of them included, I had a sickness that severely impacted my digestive system for the majority of the duration
Mm-hmm.
while pursuing my degree. So there were times where I missed a lot of school, and I had to go through the trouble of getting my exams and, talking to people in disability support services and trying to get makeup tests and things like that. But through all of that, I was able to power through because I had the determination and the mindset that I was on a mission. Some of us who are taking the journey now, I took the journey years ago, but some of us who are currently on that journey now, it's very, very difficult for us. And I was blessed to be able to, despite my challenges, graduate from my baccalaureate degree in 4 years.
Wow.
I took 18 credits, which is 6 courses, 3 times back to back.
Goodness gracious.
Just so I could graduate on time. Yeah, so it was a journey, not to mention a lot of sleepless nights. Also on top of that, I worked full time while doing that. So we're talking going to work 8 hours a day and then turn around going to school for another, say, 5 hours.
Wow. So you had a lot.
And it was a huge investment into my personal time, but it paid off in the long run for sure.
Well, to say you had a lot on your plate is an understatement, really. I mean, as far as that's concerned, let me ask you this: you talked about some of the physical impairments that you faced. What was I've never studied in psychology per se, but the mind is a powerful thing. What were some of the mental struggles that you faced?
The mental struggle it's a lot. Wow, that is a loaded question, and I'll touch on it just a little bit, because one of the things you have to prepare yourself for is the information you're going to absorb is a lot of information. First of all, you got to think about how you're going into the nuts and bolts of this stuff. I mean, and when I tell you they start from the wee bottom up
Mm-hmm.
and get you all the way until you feel like, by the time you leave, especially with my school, shout out to Bowie State University, especially at my school, there's a lot of sleepless nights.
Mm-hmm.
So just being mentally prepared for doing that, and being mentally prepared for having to sacrifice time you're spending with your family and friends, and just all the information you learn, you realize, oh my gosh, this could really be me that I'm reading about.
Right, right.
Am I really experiencing this?
Mm-hmm. So you're wondering about maybe diagnosing yourself, in a situation, saying, "Is this me?"
Like,
Yeah.
There are many nights where I've sat up and read just outside of the classroom, trying to say, okay, maybe this it, maybe that's it, maybe this is why my hands and feet don't move this way, because the messages aren't getting to this part of the brain. Maybe this is why I feel this emotion at certain part of the day. And one of the things that I learned that really has stuck with me, especially in these times of COVID-19, I'm constantly going back to the concept of seasonal affect disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is your mood changes with the seasons.
Oh, wow.
If you're in a particular season, you could either be caught up or you could be off balance.
Wow.
So, like, your mood specifically changes in accordance with the season. Like, in the springtime, it's sunny. In the winter, it's kind of more gloomy. So you have a tendency to be more
down.
In your feelings, per se.
Right.
So, in those moments, we tend to think about more, what's happening to me? Why am I experiencing these emotions? What's going on in my life? How can I change it? But when we're in springtime, it's kind of like we're up, we're ready to party, we're ready to go, we're ready to conquer the world. So, for the most part, that's one of the major things that's always stuck out to me.
I guess I had this question a little bit further down my list, but since we're here in the conversation, I want to ask you this, because you talked about, 6 and 6 credits back to back. I mean, you're talking about, how do you not break down? I mean, there's a physical strain on somebody, disability or not, but having cerebral palsy on top of it, doing all that, working all day, 8 hours a day, how do you not break down? How do you hold together mentally while you're doing all of this, plus asking yourself those mental questions, okay, of, oh, well, maybe this is why this doesn't work, or maybe this is why my hands do this.
Right. And so I would say, and I always take it back to this, DJ, and I always will, I have a strong support system. If it was just, I'm not alone in this fight. And so if it was just me by myself, I would say, yeah, I'd break down every 5 seconds. But in knowing the fact that I have my family and a strong sense of community within my university family, they kept me up. Trust and believe, we worked hard, but it was not all work all the time. We did get chances to play.
Good. So there were some times to relax a little bit. You weren't going 100% all the time.
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't going 100% all the time, but when I went, I always gave 100%. Does that make sense?
It does, and it's amazing, because you and I have been friends for a long time, and that is one thing, I've been told, that when I do things to give all I've got, and like you, and the one thing I can say is I either give 100% or I don't give anything at all. And you amaze me in a sense, not only being able to do it, but having the ability to communicate what you want to do, and helping people with psychology is incredibly difficult, because not only are you helping them, but the entire time you're helping them, or they're going through something, and this is just what I'm seeing. It's like almost a reflection of yourself to say, look, we're going to do this together. You just got to go along with me for the ride. Does that make sense?
Yes. And to your point, it's very difficult not to, I'm with them every step of the way, and until I feel like their issue is resolved, I'm not, I'm not a type of person to back down or back away.
Sure.
So, and it's very hard not to get emotionally attached. Knowing that you have to keep going with your own life. But there are some days where I'm very empathetic to what the next person is going through. I feel my best every day, but I get so much gratitude in the fact that I'm able to help other individuals, and that makes me feel better.
Well, and the thing, and you've got the right outlook, because to be honest, I don't know if I could do it, because I would feel that I would get too attached, because because I'm empathetic to begin with, but I don't know if I couldn't get attached to it. I mean, that's tough.
I know, but again, in the background, in this field, they train you on different techniques that allows you how to learn not to do those type of things.
Wow.
So it's very hard, but we've had so much training where we actually, from what I can remember back from my training, we actually have to participate in what we call mock therapy sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So we train once as the facilitator of the session, and then once as the participants or the patients.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's good because you get to see both sides, and it's good because then you have your instructor pointing out exactly what to do and what not to do at certain points. So as you get into those upper level courses, you kind of learn, techniques on how to manage your clients and manage yourself at the same time.
Some of the comments that are coming in here, it's Miss Wilson said, you have to be a strong soul to be able to go after so much, but determination helps, along with a great support system. She also said support is everything. I want to go back on something, because there was a question again. I've got a couple of just bullet points that I was going to ask you, and I love how our conversation is going, because I don't even have to segue to my next bullet point before I ask it, because we're already talking about it.
Okay.
Has there ever been a patient per se, or a person that you're working with, where you felt, not that you couldn't do it, but it was too hard because of what they were going through? And I know that's a hard question, but I just want to see how you would overcome that, or is it more of bringing someone else in to help, or what would you say there?
Nope, I would say it's a very simple answer. I don't look at any cases being so hard that I cannot offer the client at least something. Now, if I feel like I cannot help them and see them through to the next phase, then I say, let's kind of switch it up a little bit and let me refer you to someone who I think can best provide you the service that is needed.
Okay,
but
so
but still at the same time, I'm giving them feedback. I'm still checking in on them and still following up, because there may be a phase where I might have to jump right back in. You know what I mean?
Sure, and I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. So if you feel that you need to refer them to someone, you're guiding them to the right path, but you're still with them also.
Yeah, I'm still with them until they say, okay, you can take the training wheels off. I got this.
Sure,
I got
sure.
this. I'm cool. I'm comfortable. I'm ready to go on my own.
Okay. Now, my next question, and this is a biggie because you and I have talked about this a little bit. I believe, and I said at the beginning of the show. Hey, Christina, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Jill said college was some of the best years of my life. That's great, Jill. That's yeah, I can understand that. Go ahead, Sherry. It's okay.
Awesome. We have had some memorable times, and they will definitely go down in history and in the memory books for sure.
I can believe that. Now, I have said I said at the beginning of the show that I believe that you're a true advocate. I believe that you're a true advocate for people. I believe that you're a true advocate for cerebral palsy. And I want to get this out there. There are a lot of fake people, if you will. There are a lot of people that say they're an advocate for cerebral palsy, and they'll talk about something that they have no idea what they're talking about, but they'll still go off and kind of sugarcoat their way through it. How do you, Sherry, define yourself as a true advocate? And what's the difference in someone that's not?
Very, very. I would define myself as very hands-on. Like, I'm very hands-on. I'm very direct with the person. I'm very tough. For the ones who I mentor one-on-one, there are some people that I mentor one-on-one, and they know from the beginning, my approach is very tough. I show them very, very much tough love. Like, you can do this. What do you mean you can't? I don't believe you. Show me that you can, and we'll take another approach. But yeah, I'm very, very hands-on, and that to me is the definition of a true advocate, because it allows the person that you're advocating for or advocating with to stay out of their own head.
Sure. Get out of their own way. I understand that.
Because we have a tendency to block our own purpose and block our own destiny and where we're trying to go.
Yeah.
So if you don't have those mental blocks in your way, sometimes you need that person. I remember watching your show the other week, and I left something in the comments, and I said, the encourager sometimes is the person that needs encouragement.
Yes, I remember that.
I am an advocate, however, I do have a regular 9-to-5 job, and I do get overwhelmed. So sometimes, I need that encouragement, and it takes me back to what people have been in the comments talking about is support. I could not do this by myself. I have people around me, my parents, my significant other, cousins, people like that who constantly motivate me to do well and to keep going. And when I don't feel like it, they say, who are you again? Remember who you are. Remember where you started. Sure.
And
sometimes you always need that in your ear.
I couldn't agree more. And you talked about it. I think we, especially in these times, with COVID-19 and all this mess that's going on everywhere. And sometimes it just feels like it's coming in every direction. And sometimes you do get overwhelmed. And it's often, and I've often heard it said, sometimes the strongest people, again, need that support system. They act like they can carry the world, but really, the brighter the picture, the darker the negative. So, and you kind of answered it just a little bit. Is there one key thing when you get overwhelmed? I mean, is there a particular number of people that you turn to? Is it one or two? You know, what do you do when you get overwhelmed? What do you do when it's too much?
It's one or two. Sometimes 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I do it alone. Mm-hmm. And one mechanism that helps me a lot in dealing with when I get overwhelmed is writing. Mm-hmm. I write a lot. Whether I keep it and throw it away, I just write to get it out into the universe, to get my feelings out exactly how I was feeling. Sometimes I keep it, though, because it was a moment of reflection. And when I'm able to go back and look at that moment where I was, mm-hmm. once I overcame that moment of frustration or moment of unclarity, sure. I'm able to go back and reflect and say, darn it, I wrote about that on this date. Mm-hmm. Man, how far have I come?
Yeah, that was actually my next question. You know, looking at all of this, you know, and you've done so much for yourself, and you've done so much for others. Your growth as an individual, I believe, depends on your spirit. I think that's a key point. So if you could say something to, you know, when you first started and you were going through, if you could say something to your younger self, you know, now, what would you say to the young Sherry to inspire her, you know, as she's going through college and these life changes and everything, you know, that she's gone through?
I'll tell her to keep going. I would definitely tell younger Sherry to keep going, because it's going to be hard as heck for you to get there, but when you get there, there are going to be some huge payoffs. Mm-hmm. You're going to encounter many hurdles, but the people that you're going to meet are going to stick with you for a lifetime, and people are going to know you for who you are and how you help them and how you inspire them to be great. So hold on so that you can reap the fruits of your labor.
Beautifully said. Holy smokes. I told y'all she was good. I weren't lying. I did. Sherry amazes me. You got to understand. It's just, I've had a lot of guests on my show, but there's not many people that I feel can get on the level of depth that I can. But I believe, and I've seen that Sherry can do that. And see, here's the thing, and Sherry, I'm going to get to this in just a second. I believe that Sherry believes in the heart of people. And you have to be able to see that, but you've always got to have that tough love that she was talking about to be able to help them push through. You can't be tender all the time. Is it more, you know, after studying psychology and going through the classes that you've gone through and all of the things that you've gone through, is it easier to believe in people now that you've gone through that and you see some of the things that they may struggle with, or is it harder?
I've always believed in people. I've always said that people are people first, mm-hmm. but people are also going to be faced with challenges, and you never know what a person may be going through, because people have a tendency to not look like what they've been through. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So one thing I've learned in practicing and in knowing people and in working hands-on with people, you can't judge them because of what they look like. You don't know. They could be smiling at you 1 minute, but, you know, crying on the inside.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. It's just like, you don't know until you open your mouth, or, you know, you give them an open door to communicate with you, you know. You don't know until you get that individual to talk where they are, and that's what, you know, that's why I always come back to meeting the person where they are, because you don't know where they are just by on sight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I believe you can't judge a book by its cover. Now, we had 2 comments come in, and I want to read these 2 because I just think that we had 3, but let me read this one first. Jill said this: for me personally, as a counselor myself, I struggle to realize that I needed counseling after my divorce. Edwina said, Sherry is amazing. Keep going. You're just getting started. It's only the beginning. So much more greater with you is coming. I love that. Deborah.
Thank you.
Deborah said this: that's my problem. I'm too tender-hearted and soft. I think it interferes with my success sometimes. So I want to talk about something, and this may be kind of an odd question, Sherry, but I just want to get your answer on this. And guys, I thank you for tuning into the show. We've got so many viewers right now watching. This is awesome. What amazes you, Sherry? What gives you a level of true amazement?
Just my own strength.
Mm-hmm.
I'm amazed by the things that I'm able to do. And one moment when I wake up, and sometimes I'm like, how am I going to do this today?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I turn around giving myself 5 minutes to gain clarity and develop a strategy, and I amaze myself because I'm like, sometimes you just gotta go, forget it. I'm just gonna do it. Do it the way it seems, do it the way it looks in my head, and hope that it comes out the way that I need it to. Sometimes you gotta walk, or you gotta, you just gotta pursue it.
You gotta move forward.
Yeah, you gotta move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I understand exactly.
Forward regardless of whether you think it's gonna turn out bad or whether it's gonna be good, because some things that we perceive as bad might be perceived as perfect to another individual, and that other individual might be able to replicate what you're doing. So,
sure.
Although it may not sound good in your head, it might be perfect for them. So just put it out there. You know what I mean? Like, I stopped being afraid of my own screw-ups, because I realized that even in my own screw-ups, they can be beneficial to somebody else.
Well, and the thing about it, I mean, you just said it. Somebody listening to this show right now could be fighting and just, thinking they can't accomplish their dreams. And they can listen to you, and they can listen to this show and say, look at what Sherry has accomplished. And not only what she's accomplished, but what she is still doing. Again, your CP does not define you. And you are a true example of what this show is about. And this is the reason why right here, this guest right here is the reason that I'm doing this show, is to show people that when something is in you, when something is in your heart that you put in the true work for and the true effort for, you're going to get great things out of it if God is with you and it's what you truly want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, I'm sure there are hard times, with wherever you may go. I'm sure there are hard, right. But what Sherry is talking about, and I love what she just said, just because a situation looks bad or seems bad to you, it may not seem bad to somebody else, and they may be able to reflect off of what you're doing and go, you know what? I can do this. You give them inspiration sometimes without even knowing it, and I think that's amazing.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the definition of life right there, because sometimes the hardest thing is to push through the obstacle that you face, but in the effort of you pushing through the obstacle that you face, somebody else sees it it gives them the inspiration to push through and say, okay, I'm going to do my best. And then it causes a chain reaction. I think about it as a ripple in a pond. If you've ever thrown a stone in a pond, it doesn't matter how small the stone or how large the stone, it creates a rippling effect. And Sherry, that's the impact that you've had on me. Every conversation that you and I have had, you bring me something positive to the floor. Whether I'm speaking on something from my heart, whether I'm doing a show topic, you have watched many of my broadcasts and been part of them. And there were a couple that, and I remember you said that brought you to tears, but it wasn't a sadness. It was a powerful, I don't know the right word, a powerful piece of something that brought you to it. And I guess a realization is what I would say.
For me, DJ, and I'll speak on that, it was like, okay, I have a brother in my CP fight, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He's out here advocating for people with disabilities just as I am. And, you know, our advocacy is stretched when you really think about it, and you can
yes, ma'am,
concur with me on this, because we don't limit ourselves to advocate for people with just CP. Do you get me?
Sure. I 100%.
We're very universal. We're welcoming to everyone, and people just know us for being that person that they can go to, even if it's just, okay, we have a question. Who can we go to get this answer? And what I see in you and in myself is that we have both positioned ourselves to be that person.
Wow.
So this is where we are right now, and I just so appreciate you for the things that you do, and now allowing me to be a part of your platform. So yeah, this is where we are right now.
So speaking of that, and again, she's so good, y'all. If y'all understood these questions I got up here, this is so effortless. This show right here is just, this is perfect. I can't. So, you know, where we are right now, you know, you look at your life where it is and the support system that you have and the things that you're going through. So what is next for Sherry? What happens now?
That's a good question. What happens now? Well, I don't know the answer to that. I'm a very spiritual person. So I operate a lot on faith. Wherever my faith leads me is where I will go. You know, through prayer, through perseverance, through the passion for the things that I know I have. In keeping all those things in alignment with my faith, that's where I'll go. When I ask God that question and keep it in alignment with the principles and everything that He's already given me, when I ask Him for the next steps and whatever He tells me, that's what I'll do.
Now I want to point something out for the listeners on letgoradio.net and for the listeners on Facebook Live. Do you see what she just did? She said, and I quote, "I don't know the answer to that, but I believe in faith, and I'm going to go where my faith leads me and where God leads me to go." Now here's the thing. I think a lot of us get confused that we have to say something to an answer to a question that we don't know. Not everybody knows everything, and there's not a definitive answer to some questions. A lot of people will confuse hope with faith. And this is one of the reasons that I brought Sherry on the show right here. And I'm going to say this, and I want to see where she goes with it. I believe that when you're hoping for something, it's false. Because if someone says, I hope you get that job, if someone says, well, I hope I find what I'm looking for, I hope they've got that dress in that store, I hope they've got that shirt I want, but then you turn it around and you say, you know what, I'm going to get that job, I'm going to find that shirt, I'm going to find that dress, I'm going to accomplish the dreams that I have. That is faith. That is believing in something because it's there. And knowing that you may not be able to see it, but it's there. Do you agree with that, Sherry?
Absolutely, DJ. I wholeheartedly 100% agree. And to answer what you said, everything that the public knows me for having is something that I have obtained through prayer. There was a prayer and there was an ask behind every single thing, from my home to my job to my family to my relationships. So there was an ask for that. It just didn't fall out of the sky because I wanted to be part of my makeup, or I wanted those people to be part of my journey. And it came with a lot of hard work and determination. But I had to ask for it, and at the end of the day, it had to be saw fit for me to receive it. Like, I'll give you an example if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
For example, with my home, in my own head, I had a plan to be out of my parents' house by the age of 18. And I wanted to do that and go on and move forward and just live life. But the more and more I thought about it, and I talked to God about it, and He said, no, you gotta stop. You gotta go to school, and you gotta get some more. You gotta get some more wisdom behind you.
Sure.
So I went to school for the next 4 years, and then I asked again. I said, okay, is it time yet? I did all that. Is it time yet? So then I got, nope, it's not time yet. Go back to school for another 3 years. In my mind, I'm like, what? What do you mean? I just did 4.
Sure.
But He whispered in my ear, He says, you need more money to buy that house you want, don't you? Go back to school. So here I am on faith for another 3 years. I'm working. I'm back in the classroom. This time He really pushes me because I'm working 8 hours a day. Then at the end of the 8 hours, I'm going back to school. I get off work at 3 o'clock. I have to be in school by 4:55. I'm in school, although 1 day a week at this point, but I'm in school for 5 hours. So that tells me, okay, you're here again, and I'm going to make sure that you get the amount of hours and the knowledge that you mean.
Right. So he's going to provide. He's going to provide for exactly what you need. And
I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm saying, well, God, I'm here. And you and I have both talked, and I said that I wanted to get my house by the time that I was 30 years old. So I'm moving forward. At age 26, I graduated from my master's program. He says, you got a little bit more to go. But you're almost there.
Well,
now,
go ahead.
Fast forward. I purchased my home at age 2 weeks before I turned 31.
Wow.
So I still met my goal. But it was the point that I had to follow his steps.
In order to get there.
In order to get there. That's why when you ask me, Sherry, what's next? I don't know the answer. But,
right.
But you see what happened when I tried to interject myself. I didn't get what I wanted.
Right.
When I wanted it.
Right. And again, Edwina, Miss Wilson just talked about it. She said two things. She said, you truly have to trust the process and what you're going after. It will happen. Divine intervention, God's plan, always better than ours. And when you hear God speak, listen to this now. When you hear God speak, don't hesitate, or you'll miss out on the great plan. Now, I got about 10 minutes left on this show, and I want to get this out here because this is where this story becomes truly amazing. And I look at this and I say, man, it truly blows my mind. You went to school for 4 years and you said, okay. I said, am I ready yet? And you had that moment that, oh my God, what now? I just went to school for 4 years. What do you want me to do? You got to get a little more, and sometimes we want to interject our plan and try to put forth what we've got when God's already got us on the path that he wants us to be. God was setting you up in a timely manner for your goals. It I understand exactly what you're saying, because we want to rush it. We want to push it further, or we want to seem like we're going to get there faster if we put our hands on it. And sometimes we have to let go and let God.
That is true.
And that is true. Sherry, do me a favor. I just want to get your social media out there so that people can contact you if they need to get involved with your workings or help with CP, or could you just give your social media so that people can get in touch with you?
Sure. I'm on Facebook at Sherry I'm His Forever King. Also, you can find me on my advocacy Facebook page at Sherry King. Keynote speaker. I'm also on Twitter at Miss King HR. That's MZKINGHR.
Okay, and that's Sherry with a C, right? Not with an S.
CHERRI.
Okay, Miss Wilson, if you'll put that in the comments, just for so that we've got it, or someone that's listening, just put that in the comments for us so that it's there, and I'll go and do that after the show as well. I'd like, like I said, we've got about 6 minutes left, Miss Sherry. If you would you leave our guest with just a word of inspiration for our listeners?
It's not over yet. Keep going. The journey has just begun.
Well, I got it. That sums it up right there. I wanna just send out a personal thank you to Sherry for being on the show today. It was so great. It was lovely to have you. I'm gonna have you again because I don't know when that'll be, but I'm gonna tell you what, ain't nothing wrong with a double dose of Sherry, because
anytime, DJ.
you are truly a wonderful individual. I love you to death. I cannot say enough great things about you and your family. And I want to say this, although the hill may be tall, the hill is not unclimbable. I did start the show off with a quote. I want to end the show with a quote too. And Sherry, this one's for you. Surround yourself with people who are only surround yourself with people who are only going to lift you higher. And that is the truth about life itself, faith itself. You have to know that you've got to push through to get to your goals. Guys, thank you for tuning in to this episode of My CP Does Not Define Me. Normally, we are on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock on www.letgoradio.net, but this is a special Saturday edition. Again, our 19th episode. Thank everybody for tuning in today. I want to thank Kelly's Choice especially for this wonderful opportunity. Edwina Wilson, the CEO and founder of Kelly's Choice. Guys, if you have not gone to Kelly's Choice, please do so. kellyschoice.org, and actually go and donate to a great organization, because without them, I would not have this opportunity. If you'd like to be a guest on my show, I can be reached a couple of ways. I can be reached on Facebook at DJ Carter. I can be reached on YouTube at My CP Does Not Define Me. Feel free to leave me a comment. I have Twitter, My CP Does Not Define Me, at Minion Sports. I have my new Instagram, My CP Does Not Define Me. You can reach me there on Instagram. You can also reach me at my blog, which is CarterDJ85 at Wixsite MySite1. Please feel free to go to my Facebook page and get to my blog. Thank you guys for all tuning in. We appreciate it. I am D to the J with the roll away, and I'll leave you with this. You can accomplish anything you set your mind to, and the only person that can stop you from achieving your goals is you. God bless everybody, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you for tuning in on www.letgoradio.net and Facebook Live.